2 minutes.
Yeah, so again, on Henshin, I would recommend that you open it up for discussion, just, we'll run through quickly Karen's memo, just for the record. Talk about potential typing, you can move on it if you want, you don't need to, and then we'll go from there. Okay. This one? Yeah, this one. Forgot my watch today. It's been throwing me off.
Oh, you forgot your watch? Yeah, that sure is something, right? Mr. Chairman?
Is Karen coming?
No.
No. All right. Welcome to tonight's meeting, July 8th, 2025, the Planning Board meeting. Would you like to take roll?
Sure. We have Chairman Rob Pfister,
Present.
Member Lou Masella,
Here.
Member Pete Pinelli,
Here.
and Member Mark Del Vaso.
Here. Lou, shall I lead us in the pledge?
Please rise. Stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have Hench and Dairy first on the agenda, but I do not see them, so I think we'll move to,
Well, he missed it.
Okay.
what?
Oh, so they are held up at another meeting. It was indicated to them today that we would have some discussion on the record, just about Karen's memo,
Okay.
potential typing, and then adjourn it to next month's meeting.
All right, let's actually do 3 Memorial first, and we'll have that discussion.
Sure, second call it? Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
while they're here.
Hello, guys.
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
Good. Do I have to do a brief rundown?
Just who you
Again?
are, and
Okay.
sure, just a quick summary again.
Sure.
What you're here
Megan
for.
and Bruce Petty from Carmel
Okay.
Creamery, and we're trying to open up a scoop shop at 3 Memorial Ave. I think we've answered all the questions, hopefully, that you guys may have.
I believe so. Does anyone
Okay.
else
I don't have any
comments,
Okay.
questions for them?
I guess, has any public comment come in?
No public comment. Oh, we have to open the public hearing.
Okay.
We left it open.
Oh,
Did we open it last time? I don't believe so.
We set it.
We set the public hearing for this one.
public
Yeah.
hearing, we didn't open. Shut it.
All right.
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No.
Okay. Then I'll just say it again for the record. Now that we're in the public hearing, have any comments been submitted, written or emailed?
no comments
Okay.
were submitted to me.
Any comments from the public that are here?
I would like to.
Please.
Come on up.
State your,
Chair Locascio, Bellevue Drive, I think it's great. And I hope you
thank
guys,
you.
wish you guys luck and I hope it all works.
Okay, had me nervous. Thank you, thank you.
No.
I had rice cream the other day.
Okay.
Anybody else?
yeah, just no.
I make a motion, we close the public hearing.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Opposed? No.
Okay. Mr. Chairman and members of the board, I have a draft conditional site plan approval for your consideration this evening. If you'd like, I can read it into the record.
Please.
Okay. This is a resolution to grant conditional site plan approval for Carmel Creamery, 3 Memorial LLC. Whereas the applicant Carmel Creamery has submitted an application for site plan approval to remodel an approximately 1,500 square foot existing office space into an ice cream store with 8 seats located outside for use by customers on property located at 3 Memorial Avenue, Pawling, New York, 12564, identified as tax parcel number 7056-05-036997 in the B1 zoning district. And whereas the project is depicted on a site plan entitled Floor Plan, Sheet A1, prepared by P.W. Scott Engineering and Architecture, PC, dated May 22nd, 2025. And whereas pursuant to 6 NYCRR 617.5, subsection C18, the reuse of commercial structure where the commercial use is a permitted use under the applicable zoning law or ordinance is a type 2 action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act, SECRA, requiring no further environmental review under the act. And whereas the sale of ice cream in the B1 district is a permitted use under the Village of Pawling zoning code, and whereas a duly noticed public hearing was held on July 8th, 2025, during a duly noticed public meeting, during which all those who wished to speak were heard. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the planning board hereby grants amended site plan, or the site plan approval to the project as depicted on the site plan set, and authorizes the chair or his authorized designee to sign the plan set after compliance with the following conditions. 1, payment of all fees in escrow. That's it.
Okay.
All right. So I've read it. If someone would like to, you can consider making a motion to adopt the resolution as read.
Yeah, I make a resolution to adopt the resolution as read.
I second it.
Can you take roll on that resolution?
Yep. Chair Ron Pfister,
Yes.
Member Lou Masella,
Yes.
Member Pete Pinelli,
Yes.
and Member Mark Del Vazo.
Yes.
Okay. Congratulations.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
All
Thank
right,
you.
Thanks so much.
Have a good night, guys.
Good night. Hey, Brian.
All right, next on the agenda, we'll discuss Henshin Dairy.
Okay.
At this time, Chairman, I'm going to recuse myself. The property is located in the New York City DEP watershed, which I work with. Until further clarifications, I'm going to recuse myself.
Okay.
Okay. So Karen is not here, but she did submit a comment letter in preparation for this meeting. If we'd like to
Yeah, I'll go through and,
discuss maybe the most salient points on that for the record.
sure, so the comments we got back from our advisor on this is, so number one, on the existing site plan, the applicant should add to the bulk table, or add bulk table to the plan to show compliance with zoning and note any existing nonconformances or variances they received. Also include the building size, include approximate location and types of the lighting. It should also include approximate location of any signs. Also the approximate location of any landscaping, any easements, the location of employees and visitor parking, location of any outdoor bale or flake storage, including stockpiles and finished product locations. Include the loading docks, if any, location of the refuse area, include the size and proposed location of the concrete pad for 2 trailers. Also, how many company vehicles are used on the site? Is the barn building served by domestic water supply? There was no connection shown on the plan. Also confirm the following hours of operation, Monday to Friday and Saturday to Sunday. Also should show how many trucks enter and leave the site a day, what time do the trucks enter and leave the site, and describe the truck circulation through the site, and which accesses are used for that. Also, if there's any byproducts of the operation and what happens to these materials. Is the residence with the garage an accessory or associated use with the commercial operation? Otherwise, it needs to be described as far as its relationship to the operation, if any. And also describe drainage on the site. So that's what,
Okay, so
Those are
read
a
that
few
into
things
the
that-
record. A copy of this comment letter was also provided to the applicant before tonight's meeting. Now, Karen does indicate in her comment letter that the project may be eligible for a type 2 designation under seeker. It appears from my review that it could fall under subsection 18 on the type 2 list, which is actually the same thing that the creamery fell under, which says that a reuse of a residential or commercial structure or a structure containing mixed uses, where the commercial use is a permitted use under the applicable zoning law or ordinance, including by special use permit, which would be the case here, I believe. And the action does not meet or exceed any thresholds otherwise in the law, then it may be considered a type 2 action. The board may consider typing it this evening. However, I will note that the plans that they've currently submitted do not depict some of the improvements that they're seeking approval on, including the concrete pads. So that is one of their tasks before the next meeting, is to depict all of that, plus what Karen's asked for on a new set of plans. So the board can do with that information as you will. You can type it tonight, or you can wait for more information. It's up to the board.
I'm of the opinion that the applicant is not here. There's a lot of questions that, we want to ask and to be answered. I don't think we should take any action without the applicant. I don't think we should type it.
I happen to agree with Lou here, because there's a couple of questions here I want answered. The applicant's not here to answer them. It's very nice to say, yeah, but I mean, questions we want to ask. There's some serious questions here to be answered.
yeah, I mean, there's a couple of them on here that concern me more than others. Most of it's just adding details to the plan. As
Well, it's up to the
far as the
board.
map, but there is a couple that we should be able to ask before we type up a conditional approval, I think, at this point.
Are you familiar with any action being taken without the applicant here at all? Have you, of course, this is certainly a new request that I've heard of, that we can take an action without the applicant actually being here.
I mean,
I wouldn't-
you
I wouldn't
can
really
with
wanna-
their consent, but, if,
Yeah,
it's up to the
I
board
wouldn't want to do it, just,
ultimately.
I wouldn't want to set a precedent, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's up to the board
Yeah.
ultimately, yeah.
Yeah, I realize that. We can, if we want to,
Yeah.
we don't have to.
Yeah.
So I already stated my opinion.
Stated my opinion, I'd like to see him here. I got questions I want to ask.
Okay. Then I guess just for the record, the application will be, sounds like, held over to the next meeting, so that they can amend their plans and appear.
Perfect. Duly noted. Perfect.
All right. Next on the agenda, 21 West Main Street.
You want to do the minutes first?
Sean, say it right
Am I running behind today, or you guys start?
now. No. No,
6:30.
We're just
we're
moving
rolling
through.
tonight, but we're rolling.
I thought I had time to spare, and then I walked into it.
No, we're moving through.
You're right on time.
So, how's everybody doing tonight?
Good.
So far, so good.
So far, so good.
So, as you all know, but for the record, Sean Hildebrand, owner of 21 West Main Street. Here for the application, the ongoing application review for the addition and renovation. As I believe most of you were copied on today's email, I received at 2:50 p.m. today from the building inspector and planning board secretary that the building inspector, his interpretation is that need to be referred to the Zoning Board of Appeals for the fact that the building is pre-existing non-conforming, mainly to do with the lot coverage for impervious surface. As I believe you have a copy of that right in your hand. The chart shows the current building is 95% covered. We are improving it, or we have proposed to improve it to 85%. We will be removing the southwest corner of the lot, removing some existing blacktop and asphalt, and turning it into grass. Now, that didn't get us to the magic 75% number. And the reason why I didn't expect that to be an issue, because as this planning board, I believe you three gentlemen were all on the planning board in 2021, when I had applied for the original renovation plan for that building, that exact layout was approved. So I was pre-existing non-conforming then, and I'm still pre-existing non-conforming now. In efforts to not argue the legalities of pre-existing non-conforming, improving this, that, the other thing, going back and forth to try to speed this process up, because the process so far has been a long one, I think we can all agree on. I have spoken to my architect, Kurt. He wasn't able to be here today at a prior obligation. And based on the unbelievable timing of today's email, we had no time to actually adjust the actual plan. So before you guys even, I know that's going to be the topic of discussion, is that email. So what I'd like to do is push this to the next available meeting. Because what I've already spoken to Kurt, how we're going to solve this problem, is if I can...
Yeah, come on, yeah, great.
What we will be proposing on paper at our next meeting is we currently have, where are we backed up? So this big section over here is wasted blacktop. It's not a legal parking spot. It's currently existing blacktop. We will, at the next meeting, we will be proposing that gets completely removed, turned into grass area. Now, the other thing the building inspector noted in his email today at 2:50 p.m. was the issue of this shed. Again, pre-existing non-conforming, it was put there at least 20 years ago by the previous owner. Ironically enough, this shed was specifically mentioned in my permit in 2021, which I have a COO and I have a copy of the minutes that this board approved with that there. Now all of a sudden, now this becomes an issue. Again, to avoid the back and forth, the review process by Lobella, the attorneys, all that stuff, next month when we resubmit with our little changes, we will be removing that shed roof. That currently is gravel, it's a gravel surface, so pervious surface. The shed roof will be removed, so it'll be legally counted as pervious surface. With those calculations, with my very short window of time confirming with the architect, that will put us at approximately 70%, the 70% number. The village code requires 75 or less. So, in effect, bypassing and avoiding the need to go to ZBA. After consulting with Kurt, I think there could be a lot of arguments made. So I'm not here to argue, and because I have CFOs that you guys approved 2 years ago, planning board minutes that you guys approved 2 years ago, I have a CFO from the current building inspector, signed with his stamp on it. He approved it with the shed. Now all of a sudden at almost 3 o'clock in the afternoon, day of the meeting, he sends an email that says that's different. So, like I said, to try to speed this process along, at our next month's meeting, or your next month's meeting, we will be submitting essentially exactly the same building plan. Because, to our knowledge, there's no major issue with the actual plan with that respect. It's the impervious surface and the shed. So the next piece of paper you guys receive from us will be the shed roof removed. Again, making us more conforming, because that's a non-conforming feature of the building. Pre-existing, which you all approved. And removing that piece of blacktop that is, again, to me, useless because it cannot be used as parking because tandem parking spots do not count. So we'll be removing that and adding grass there. And that puts us at that magic number of 75% or less. So that's specific. I don't know if the board has any other issues, you know, or other comments or would like to discuss. I'm happy to answer anything. But that was what I was blindsided with today at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, which is, again, as you guys all know, my first application for this permit was November of 2024. The impervious surface situation never changed since November. And I get an email today at 3 o'clock from this building department and this administration. And the timing is questionable, I would say, at minimum. But nonetheless, that's our game plan, and I'd love to hear the planning board's input on that.
I'm just kind of curious. You've been before the ZBA twice, correct?
For this particular road,
Right.
we were before the ZBA one time, and that brings up a good point. So based on a variance, again, to refresh everybody's memory and for the record and all that stuff, based on a variance that would be required, because my original plan was to make this addition towards the rear of the lot line.
Right.
That encroaches, still on my property, but encroaches towards the church. Village code says the church is R1 or R2 zoning.
Residential.
So I essentially have to adhere to their zoning rules. I went in front of the ZBA. It was approximately a 2-hour meeting. Long story short, I was denied. I've since gotten all the bills from the village on that. I spent $7,100 to go for a 2-hour meeting. And I want you guys to understand, you probably don't know the backstory on what the applicant has to go through. So for a 2-hour meeting, 2 hours, Kurt was in front of it, I spent $7,100 with bills by the consultants, the lawyers, and LaBella. Most of that meeting, the ZBA focused, and you could all read the minutes and watch the minutes, they focused on the actions of the previous owner and how he got things approved and how it happened 15, 20 years ago, and previous owner's not even alive to defend himself. My architect kind of said, that has nothing to do with us. This is our site plan. Nonetheless, we were denied, which I understand, no problem. We've since amended that to avoid the need for a variance, which is typical in construction. So now we no longer need any variance for the rear lot line situation. We are outside of that. The building inspector recently, I want to say a few weeks ago, issued another letter commenting about the parking, which goes to a good, Karen's not here today, but it goes to a point she brought up in one of the meetings. That the fact that we need a parking, I believe that he called it a parking lane or a turning lane. What's that? Driving lane. Now this is one that, again, you guys have all been on this planning board before, has been approved, has been like this for 20 years. I have another building that you approved 2 years ago that also has the identical parking setup. There is no driving lane. So what he cited makes no sense. It doesn't apply because it doesn't exist. The parking lot is there. We're not pushing the parking lot closer to the road. Kurt and I put our heads together and we said to avoid the fighting back and forth, not fighting, bad word, avoid the back and forth litigation of it. We'll move it back to leave the parking as is. So it's pre-existing, it's not even non-conforming, approved site plan. That's the key word, approved. Parking lot, parking lanes, parking spaces, approved by this very board. That's it. So to answer as a long-winded answer, I did go to the ZBA. We were denied based on that variance. Our new plan does not require ZBA variance. The building inspector is bringing up yet another issue, as I said today at 2:50 p.m. So our next submittal to you guys will also illustrate how that doesn't make, that isn't valid anymore. So we will not need to do that again. Unfortunately, again, horrible timing with Kurt not being available and the horrendous timing of when this email came to me. The 7-month window, I get an email.
And the reason why I asked that question is
Yes.
the exact same plans were before the building inspector when he referred you to the ZBA.
Exact same. Absolutely.
And so I'm kind of curious why this problem that we're dealing with tonight you weren't made aware of it months ago.
That is a great question. And also the consultants that I'm paying a tremendous amount of money that the village relies on, they didn't bring it up either. Again, if anyone goes back, you will see a certificate of occupancy stamped by the village with that exact situation. Major zoning laws, and probably village attorney could probably verify that, have any major zoning laws changed in 2 years since this was issued?
No, but
That was
not to argue against you, but just so that the board is aware, the legal framework for this is called municipal estoppel. And essentially, municipal estoppel does not apply when it comes to enforcing zoning codes that were either overlooked or missed in error, any kind of error on the part of the administration or any of the departments. The board is never stopped from enforcing its own zoning codes. Even if there was an error in the past, even if a variance was missed 20 years ago, it could require you to go get that now, validly and legally.
I have a quick question. This is a different plan. Is this from what I've seen before? This is different. There's an
That went to the
overhang
zoning
here.
board.
There's different stuff on this plan. So there is a different plan being submitted tonight.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe if,
No, I'm asking, because there's an overhang here. You're getting all your bedrooms, but there's a different layout. There's different floor plans in this set, correct?
since the zoning board. did
Since the
not-
last time you were in front of this board when I was here.
Maybe since you were there, I think Curtis.
That was a previous meeting before you went to the ZBA. So what I'm
Maybe May.
concerned with is the statement that this drawing is exactly the same that I looked at before, because it's not. I saw a plan, then you went to the ZBA, so this is not the same plan. So I just want to go on record that this is a different plan. I'm not saying there's a lot of changes to it, but this is a different plan.
Well, maybe I
So in
misspoke.
defense of this gentleman who wrote this, he is looking at a different plan. And what I'm hearing from you tonight is you're going to come back to the board and answer these questions and say how you've addressed them, so then we can move on. And the only other question is, are we opening the public hearing tonight and leaving it open? It is open. Okay, because I came in late.
Well,
I just,
I just want to be clear. So this public hearing was based upon the set of plans. So
You have to open for.
I would recommend re-advertising on the new set of plans. Not to hold you up, it's not going to hold you up. You
Can
can
you just
certainly
leave it-
set the public
Can you leave
hearing.
it
I want to follow up on what
Open.
Mark just asked. How is it different, Sean?
So, yeah, maybe I didn't illustrate what I meant. When I said it's exactly the same, it's specifically, what I meant was specifically in relation to the parking lot, because that was a big bone of contention.
It's
The parking
back.
is identical.
This is the existing non-conforming parking.
Correct.
Yes,
Nothing's changed.
okay.
I think what you.
And that's the first one I saw that I had no.
Yeah, this originally went into ZBA, this addition was
But
set back.
in this gentleman's defense, this is a different drawing. He has to look at the entire set. Things have changed that he's reviewing. Because this is a different set of plans.
These are the ones that came through on June 9th.
Yeah, so he looked at a different set of plans. There might not be a lot of changes to this, and I'm not going to go tit for tat with your issue about the fees, but this is a different drawing set. So this gentleman has a right, as an official for the village, to review it when you submit something different.
Factually,
Whether
yes,
you're
you are
saying, I would like to base it on facts. So the facts is this has changed. You're going to come back with a new change, and we're going to address that next meeting. That's what I'm hearing. The question I have is, you can't leave public hearing open and then
I
close it?
would recommend against it. I would recommend that the board set a new public hearing for the new set of plans so that the notices go out again, seeing as the plans are changing. So whatever was publicly available prior to this meeting is going to be different.
Anticipating
Until we
his
get-
change plans that he's going to.
Correct. So get those plans in as soon as
My
possible.
question is, even if that's necessary, even if the changes that we're proposing to bypass the need for a variance is essentially an environmental, a seeker issue. It's not if you're a neighbor and you don't like the idea of the building. I'm improving to what the village wanted. To my original plan, when we were in May, and we got referred to the zoning board, the building took up the entire footprint of what currently is impervious. We've already reduced that by over 10%.
Yeah.
We now, again, to avoid that issue, we're going to reduce it by another 10%.
Well, I will say, because it's based on a different site plan essentially, you're changing the site plan. This is to cover your own basis, because The application can be tanked if someone accuses you of not noticing it properly. So this is to be more
This
thorough.
would be the third time, because the board wasn't able to get a quorum last time, so this is the third time this gets sent out.
Well, I mean,
I mean,
I listen, I'm an
Yeah, I
attorney,
understand.
so in my
Yeah.
view, more notice is better than less notice, especially
My
with the
question would be
changing
is,
plans.
If I changed a window location on a building, during at any point, you would have to reopen the public hearing?
That's a building
No,
permit,
likely not, but this would
right?
change
That's a
the-
building plan.
This would change the nature of the application, because now, because before you're dealing with a different nonconformity, things like that, this is changing the nature of this application. You're becoming
Respectfully, I don't exactly
potentially
say exact
conforming.
nature, but yeah,
Yeah.
I'm moving in the direction
Correct.
essentially that the building inspector is
Correct.
requesting.
Listen, I understand your point of not wanting to notice it again. It's, you
That
know,
ultimates
I'll
the
leave it up
board's
to,
decision, essentially, right?
right, but it leaves your application vulnerable if it's not done correctly, if you're not as thorough as you need to be and someone
Again,
challenges it.
The board makes the
No, I
decision.
think we should notify it again. Yeah.
It doesn't hurt, it's,
Just
you
to-
know,
just to
it's just
cover all
more
of it,
thorough.
Just to cover the bases and make
Yeah.
sure it's right.
Yeah. Yeah, and that, it's your application that would get challenged, you
What
know,
do you
so.
say, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, it's a different drawing going on the site plan and it's what's been submitted so
Okay.
far.
Yeah.
So then I would suggest that the board move to set the public hearing, a new public hearing for,
Well, we have an open meeting right now, right? The public hearing is open?
so it was never opened.
Oh, it was never open?
It was
Okay.
never, it has never
Okay,
been
okay.
opened. So you're essentially just resetting the
Okay.
public hearing.
With the understanding he'll make the submission in time?
I mean, I think it would be necessary. If anyone who
What was that,
wants to
Mark?
come.
He has to make the submission in time, whatever that might be.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we're setting a public hearing for a drawing that doesn't
Chris
exist.
said he could have these changes are so minor. it's-
Yeah, I think as soon as Kirk can get them, the
It's a
better.
matter
Yeah.
of deleting that shit. Yeah, that, making the submission won't be an issue. One question I have for the board specifically, again, to try to limit the repetitive back and forth with issue found, issue found, issue found. Does the board have any other issues that I can get ahead of and make these adjustments now with this submission? Is there any issues that we can get on the table now, so we're not doing it again in August? and
Your plan is though to answer the questions, there's two letters here. You're going to answer their questions to the best of your ability, or your consultant, Kurt will.
The
There's a
first
letter-
letter, if you're referring to the parking thing, has already been answered, and I believe taken care of. There's one today at 250 has,
So there's-
will be taken care of.
Yeah.
So those will be consolidated with that drawing.
Yeah, the email today will be inserted with the drawing, correct? With the updated drawing, correct?
And the previous comments that are associated with a drawing that is going to be changed will be applied to that.
It already is.
But you're going to change that drawing.
That part of the drawing is not changed.
Yeah, but again, you're changing it. So repeat those questions and say how they address the current drawing that's coming. You're changing a drawing. There's two letters I see in front of me with questions. Make sure that those questions are answered with the new drawing. Don't reference a drawing that's not going to be used.
Yeah, that's not a problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, These are relatively, again, this is, although this email caught me off guard, last minute, these are relatively simple changes to make. It's not something like I have to, take the roof off and push it down 30 feet or something. These are very minor things, like removing blacktop. That's a
But-
no-brainer.
Yeah,
My-
but once again, I'll agree with Mark. You just get the two letters, address it to the
Sure,
new
the
secretary.
first one has already been addressed, it's in the
So
file.
this way everything gets clean.
My recommendation, because this board is not empowered to identify variances needed or things like that, that is the code enforcement officer. What you may want to do is, once Kurt has the new plan set drawn, schedule a meeting with the code enforcement officer.
We've been down that road
Okay.
before, it's not very helpful.
Okay.
But we'll try again.
Yeah, I would go through it with him. He's the one who needs to identify
Like I
himself.
said, it's not my first rodeo doing this
So,
situation.
Amanda, do we have a date for the public hearing?
Hearing is set.
August 12th?
Yes, sir.
I'll make that motion. For August 12th, the public hearing.
All in favor?
Aye.
That would also be the next meeting, correct?
Correct.
So the public hearing happens first and then the next meeting. Gotcha. And typically, I've lost track of where we are with the process. The public hearing goes well, we've answered the questions. What stage in this process we at? We have a seeker determination, we're past that?
Yeah,
You
it
get it
depends
there, yeah.
if it get, right, if everything goes smooth and things are answered by next meeting, there's always the,
Would you like to send this back to council?
Yeah, it is an unlisted action, I believe. I think Karen's made that comment in her letters, but I think we'll have to look back to see if the board officially typed it as such.
we have to take action within 62 days of having the public hearing.
Of
Once that's
closing the
closed,
public
that's,
hearing.
yeah, the closing of the public hearing. So I mean,
So
that's
62 days
worse,
of that August.
yes, that's worst case scenario.
If it's closed on August 12th.
Yeah.
If the board feels like they have enough information to make a decision and,
I see a very large crowd for this particular.
well, it's if the board feels like they have enough information from both you and if comments, you know, if they come in, to make a decision.
Right,
So-
because I was looking back at the minutes of the last time we got an application through, the same day that we closed public hearing, you guys approved the site plan. So that's why I want to make sure if anything changed.
Yeah, that's possible. If,
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
I was reading it and
Yeah.
I don't know, you weren't here.
But legally, they have 62 days after closing the public hearing.
Gotcha. So again, just so I at least ask, there's no one else has any other issues that I should get ahead of? Environmental-wise, seeker-wise, adding the impervious surface,
Yeah.
removing non-conforming issues,
I mean-
height isn't an issue.
Obviously, Karen's not here this evening. I'm sure she'll watch this video back and take a look at your new plans. She would release a comment letter prior to the next meeting if there's any issues that pop up.
Yep,
yeah, I mean, when you buy a piece of property that has a lot of nonconformities, you're going to run into issues when you try to improve it. So it's just, that's part of it. That's,
so believe me, I know exactly, I could,
so it makes it a little harder when you do get a piece of property that has these issues prior to whoever purchases it. So there's
it
going to
makes
be,
it harder when you're playing with a set of rules one day and it's a totally different set 2 years later with the same people. That's what makes it hard.
yeah, I mean, the initial site plan that we approved for the changes to the upstairs.
Approved with a shed and with a non.
With the upstairs, that was already there. We weren't going to, for what you were trying to do, we weren't going to make you tear that down and be like
No,
tough on you then by doing that.
No, I get you. I thought that would be the answer, and we did extend the building with a roof that's approved, so it would trigger all this. But again, it wasn't an issue then, somehow.
Well, that means it was missed, not that it didn't exist at the time.
I believe the term is learning curve, by the village. That village was in a learning curve during that state, so that doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah. I mean, I'm
You know,
missing something.
I'll just say in
there.
defense of the village, I'm going to see 3 different set of drawings now. And it's a different drawing, it means there's a change. And whenever you change something, someone has to review it. So when you give somebody something new, whether it's a minor change or a major change, they're going to review it. And whatever that impacts might drive what their comments might be. So in defense of the village, I find that whatever this gentleman did, he did it appropriately because it was a new set of drawings that he was looking at and he was conducting his review. That's my position.
That's your opinion. Fine.
That's my opinion.
Sure.
Okay. We look forward to the new set of drawings.
I look forward to them as well. I can't wait to see Kurt again. So deadline is for submittal
29.
July.
That's fine. There's the last letter from Karen, just to make sure you have the, so if you want to take that, you can.
I believe Kurt got it.
Yeah,
That's right,
exactly.
okay. So July 29th is submittal deadline and we'll see.
At
what
noon.
August- At what?
At noon,
Not at 2:50?
no,
Oh, that's just when emails come out.
or 12:01.
That's it. I would never. Never. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. What? Oh, it
Oh,
opened
and-
there. Are the meet, just for the record, the meeting started at 6:30?
Yes.
Where was I been?
You
I
didn't
thought it
miss
was
that.
seven-
And
You didn't miss much.
Yeah, I thought it was 7 o'clock.
Oh, that's why you were running late.
Yeah, I said I thought I was going to be here early.
Mr. Hildebrand, just one thing to keep in mind is as you're updating these plans, or Kurt's updating, make sure your seeker's matching. So if there's any changes on the set of plans as far as it may reduce your seeker information as well.
Right.
So if you're
Should be-
increasing the pervious
Should be
surface,
improving our environment.
so just keep an eye on that as
I
well.
appreciate the heads up. I will let him know. Everyone have a good night.
Well,
Any other business?
Approval of
Sorry, you
minutes.
approved the minutes.
Sorry, yeah, that's not.
I make a motion, we approve the minutes?
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Aye.